Alright, good afternoon everybody. It is Jay from Edible Foodscaping again, and it is June 7th, and today I would like to talk about avocados, since there's been so much talk in our group about avocado trees. So first of all, do I think avocado trees will grow here? Yes, obviously they've been proven to grow here. There's several that are around the valley that are nice mature specimens. More than likely a lot of those started as a seedling, as a seed plant that somebody just planted outside, and it grew into the avocado trees that they are today. Have I tried any of the fruit from any of these avocado trees? No, I have not tried any of the fruit from any of these avocado trees yet, and definitely not my own, because they're just not large enough to produce yet. So we just went through that little heat wave that we had. We got to, I think my yard got to about 118, 119, and all my avocados still look really, really good. So I just kind of wanted to talk about these today. So variety wise, first of all, so this is a Zitano, and the Zitano looks the best out of all of them. So he didn't get any damage at all whatsoever. This is the Forte, and the Forte did get some burning, so he did get some charred tips on these new leaves. You can see here on the end there, those got burnt crispy, but then he's got some new ones coming out on the top past that, so we're not even worried about those on him. Then we've got this Pinkerton, and the Pinkerton looks real good too. It doesn't seem to have taken any any heat damage at all whatsoever. He looks really good. And then the Bacon, which is this one, and I guess this one got about as far down as it can go as far as like being droopy. So like this one did get droopy over those past 4 or 5 days. But at the same time, this one is a newer planting, so I put this one in a little bit later. I put this one in maybe 2 months ago, and I put these guys in, I want to say, late January, because these 3 trees got 28 degrees, and they did defoliate quite a bit, but then they grew back when spring came. So I have these guys in a corner of my yard that only gets morning sun, and in fact it's also shaded. I've got a 70% shade cloth that sits over this bed, because this actually used to be my garden bed. This was my raised garden bed for my vegetables, was back here in this corner. And so you see I've got it between a shed, this shed garage here, and then there's a block wall in the back, and then over to the side is this slat wall chain link fencing, and then the only side that's open is this side, which is the side you come in on, and then even that side is all protected by plants. So these guys are really well shielded. So avocados, they like a fair amount of humidity, so that's why they suffer so bad in June in particular. From what I can tell, they need a lot of water. I mean, I water these guys every day. Now granted, the drainage is really, really good in this area in particular, because this was my old garden bed. So this soil has been in here probably close to 5 years now, because that's what I started with, was the vegetable gardening. So the soil in here is awesome. Now, also when I planted these guys, I didn't plant them on a mound like you're supposed to. I put these guys in a depression just like I do everything else here. And then it's mulched heavily. I mean, I've got probably, I don't know, at least 4 inches, 4 to 5 inches, maybe even more of mulch layer before you hit the good soil down below. And of course it's just teeming with earthworms and all kinds of other goodies. And so this is moist, but now there's a difference between moist and the plant getting enough to drink. So let me expand on that. So these plants, and now in particular these plants that you get from like Lowe's and Home Depot. Now I haven't checked out like the root systems on larger plants, like the ones from like maybe Seamus O'Leary's. I haven't checked those out. I don't know how those are yet, because I don't have any of those plants yet. But if you if you've ever had avocados die, these little ones from like Lowe's and Home Depot, and then you kind of pull it out of the ground, well, you'll see that it was kind of planted in a liner to begin with. So basically, they took a seedling, they grew this little seedling in a liner, then they grafted on whatever the variety was onto that little seedling, and then as it grows up a little bit bigger, it goes into a 5-gallon pot that you buy at the store, but it's not been in that 5-gallon pot for very long. So in fact, the root system on these, when you get these from the box stores like that, is very, very small. The actual root system is small. So it doesn't fill that big pot like you think that it should. In fact, half the time when you're planting avocados, all that soil falls away. Like half that soil falls away, and you're just stuck with this little tiny root ball, which was the original liner, because they just don't root out very fast. Like avocados, they just don't root into the soil very, very quickly. So it takes them a little bit longer to get established. So even though you think that you've watered it and the soil might be moist around it, it doesn't mean that the plant has access to that water, because the root system is so small and so close to around the tree that that's all it gets for a drink. It just slurps up the little bit that's around it, and then it could use another drink, in fact. So I don't anticipate overwatering these or killing these by overwatering them. I mean, I'm going to try, just like I've tried for every other plant around here. I've tried to kill it by overwatering it, and I haven't been successful yet on any plant. So I mean, it's just in a different environment down here. Like if you give it good soil and you build that fungal network, that's why that fungal network is also so important, because that expands on grabbing nutrients and grabbing water from the soil around it. That's why all these perennial plants and trees, they're all based on a fungal-based soil system, so that they can grab all these other nutrients and farm out stuff from further away, because their actual root systems aren't that big, especially when they're little babies like these guys are. So I think a lot of the pictures that people posted that were burnt crispy, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the heat got them. Like, they burnt up, basically. And it's a kind of a caveat there, because it's not just the heat that burned them up, it was lack of hydration. Because if they were getting water at the same time, or being able to uptake that water, so that's another thing that could be a problem, is if you guys aren't amending the soil for avocados especially, and you're planting in just clay soil, then yeah, you smother the root system, and it doesn't allow those little tiny fine roots to grow and to breathe, and now they can't take up any extra water because they're locked in clay. So if they're in amended soil, or if they're in a pot, like I've got another one out here that's in a pot, and he looks pretty good too. This is a dwarf avocado that I got from Lowe's also, or it's called a little cado. And so this one can be planted in a pot. So I've got this one in a big pot out here, and this one gets a lot more sun. But same thing, I mean, I've got my nice soil in here. Oh, little wrigglers. Nice soil in here, and I've got this, try to keep this heavily mulched. Of course, the birds like to kick all the mulch out, but I mean, this stuff's just alive too. That's why the birds are in here, is because they're in here after these earthworms, because they can kind of dig down in there and grab them and eat them. But that's a separate topic. So yeah, so I've got the 4 California varieties around the corner there. Then I've got this one in the pot. Then over here I've got a Haas. And this one looks pretty good too. This one went through the winter with no issues also. This one got a couple little burnt leaves. You see them right here. That's just from the heat and him not having the hydration to keep those leaves turgid and full of water. So you get that desiccation. Of course, you get the burning back from the tips first towards the center of the leaf. But another thing that I do is I like to leave those leaves on there so that it can tell the avocado what kind of environment that it's coming into. Because anytime it burns or anything like this, it sends signals to the plant that says, hey, it's pretty hot here and arid and dry and nasty, and we can't put out these big spring leaves that you've been pumping out. Like, you got to downsize. So that's the information that it's, because these plants are continually adapting. they have a hardwired genetic code that tells them what they are, and then they've got a flexible epigenetic code which allows them to be flexible and adapt to changes like this. So anytime any kind of damage like this happens, or bugs bite into them, or anything else that happens like that, the plant stores this information now, and it can change and adapt. So I leave the little burnt leaves on there until they fall off on their own. Then back here, I've got quite a bit older one. This is a Mexiola Grande that I've got back here. And this one he's going on 2 years old. This one's pretty big now. He's way above my head, and then the leaves are just gigantic on this one. Let me see, see a comparison to my hand here. These leaves are big and beautiful. I mean, this tree's getting some size. Looks like he might have got one leaf zapped, but all the rest look really, really good. This is a pretty wide tree now too. Yeah, now he's getting all up into the sun. So this is, yeah, I want to say he's 2. This is a Mexiola Grande. I got this one from Lowe's, kind of even before I knew what I was doing. But even now, it's just now starting to form bark. So why do avocados suffer so bad here? Well, they suffer so bad here because they don't have bark. They don't get like a true bark till they're much, much older. And so they have no protection. So they don't have like the thick bark, you know, like mesquite trees have down here to protect them in the summertime. And then they don't have that thick bark like, let's say, I don't know, a stone fruit tree would have on it to protect it from the winter time. So, I mean, tropicals, these guys grow where it's just awesome all the time. So they don't have a need to get this thick bark. They don't need to develop this thick bark until they're a little bit older. So they're this green, you know, which suffers from the elements. So it's nice to keep these guys nice and protected. And in fact, these avocados, these guys are all understory trees. So you see how I kind of have them. I have them all underneath other plants and like underneath these shade cloths to where they're just getting like little specks of sunlight, and they're growing. I mean, this one's probably almost 9 feet tall already in 2 years. He's got a pretty decent trunk, considering this was a little Lowe's purchase, and those things are tiny when they come from Lowe's. So they just need a lot of help. So they need a lot of shade. Like I said, I've got probably 75% shade. I would say they could go almost 100% shade and be fine, because once they get larger and poke out into the overstory, then they'll be tough enough to take that heat, you know, or like, let's say the height of your house. Like once they get past the height of your house, which can be up to, you know, 20 feet if it's a 2-story house, or taller, then by the time it's poked up to there, then it's generally okay at that point. So yeah, so the Mexiola one, and then I've got a Stewart way back in here, which I've kind of neglected him because I just can't really reach him anymore. He's back here behind the blackberries, but the Stewart's doing not too bad either. He just doesn't get as much water as the rest of them, so he's just not as big as the rest of them. But this one's gone through, I want to say 1 or 2 winters. This one's gone through, I want to say 1 or 2 winters also. And so, oh wow, look at all the mangoes. Mango, mango, mango. Nice. So, yeah, and even this mango's kind of acting like a mama for this avocado here. So anyway, they will grow here. They're a little bit challenging. They're the tier 3 plant, so they're a little bit more sensitive, special requirements. But I don't think they're too much harder than anything, say a mango, because I mean, a mango has pretty much the same green fleshy skin until it gets older and gets that bark also. So I would say if you can get a mango to work, then you can get an avocado to work. It's just going to take just a little bit more effort than the mango, because they are very, very similar, I find, as far as care goes. I mean, you can winter protect them both, but I mean, I didn't cover any of these guys because I really want them to be strong. I would rather them die now than invest like 10 years into something covering it and protecting it, and then it die from one winter because you finally let it out. Whereas these little guys, I mean, I'd rather them die while they're more or less under their warranty or under their purchase warranty. So yeah, now that I've got these guys to work and pretty successful at avocados, because I've kind of avoided them myself. Little cinnamon guy, little cinnamon looks good. I've kind of avoided them myself because I thought they were way too challenging, but they're really not that bad. So the main thing is to plant them in good soil that drains. In fact, we can, this soil, will, this water, or this bed never fills up. So like I can literally let the hose run 24 hours on this and it will never fill full of water. It just drains so well. So really good drainage, nice soil. I don't think you necessarily need to mound them. I mean, I'm testing that right now, so we'll see as far as that goes. And then good shade. I mean, it's dark. It's really dark under here. So that's my experience so far with the avocados, guys. So thanks for watching, and post any comments below. And I'm definitely going to get some more. I'm going to get some larger ones though, because I think it's definitely worth the money. If you know what you're doing and you've got some other really nice plants to work, like some really nice mangoes or whatnot, then I think it's okay to purchase some larger avocados at that point. I'm going to get some from Seamus O'Leary's Tropical Fruit Trees. He's got that, the Marcus Pumpkin. That's the one that I'm really interested in. I believe that's a Guatemalan variety, but I don't really care because I'm going to try it anyway. And then maybe get a couple other ones to go with it, and then I'll probably put those guys out here with this other stuff, because this other stuff's working out really well. So like the plumeria is looking really nice, and the mangoes are looking really nice. Getting some good fruit on these guys. So I think I'll probably put it underneath this area here. Get some pretty good sized mangoes there. All right, guys, thank you for watching. And like I said, post any comments or questions below. And I'm fairly new at the avocados myself, so we'll see how where this journey takes us. All right, guys, thanks for watching.